Uvalde, Texas. Uvalde strong. Yet another community in America forced to come together and face the trauma of gun violence in America.
19 children. 19 beautiful little ones. 19 smiles. Gone at the hands of an 18-year-old. Thanks for joining us. I'm Terry Mireya.
And I'm Kira Phillips. A small-knit community picking up the pieces now, asking for prayers from the country as they ask so many other questions, including where is the change? Our Phil Lipof is on the ground in Uvalde covering all these angles for us. Phil, you just arrived in the small town. Just give us a feeling for what you're experiencing, who you're talking to. How are they doing?
That's a tough one, Kira, because I don't think this community actually knows how it's doing just yet. In the aftermath of these horrific mass shootings, it takes some time to process it, but I'll tell you what's happening here at the scene. It's a massive crime scene still. The sign to Robb Elementary behind me has become something of a memorial. We've been watching people from the community come up with flowers. They obviously can't cross the police line, so the police that are guarding this crime scene have been very respectful and understanding. They go up to the line, they take the flowers, and they bring them over to the school because it's an outpouring of just support and grief. Nobody really knows what to do. Obviously, it's blocked off. They are still doing their investigation. There's an awful lot of media here, as you would imagine. But overall, there's just this feeling of, I mean, it's a beautiful day here in Texas, but this feeling of darkness and sadness and grief.
This terrible darkness that has settled upon that town and upon our country, Phil. There's no question. So, Phil, I know that there were wounded, over a dozen people taken to the hospital in addition to the dead. Tell us about the wounded. What's the latest on their conditions?
So, Terry, this is what we know right now. 17 others taken to the hospital with injuries. Of those 17, only 6 remain at hospitals right now. 3 adults, 3 children. The 3 children we know, 2 of them have been upgraded to good condition. 1 child is in serious condition. And then again, there are 3 adults there with wounds as well.
And Phil, at this remarkable press conference that I know you've been covering, Governor Abbott, during that press conference, spoke about the importance of mental health in this moment. Let's take a listen.
Whenever anything as shocking and extraordinary and disturbing as this event occurs, there is an urgent need for everybody affected to access mental health. I cannot be more emphatic than saying with great urgency, everybody in this community, I mean everybody.
Phil, obviously different people react differently to trauma. This is an unimaginable trauma that has hit this small community, and people will avail themselves of help on their own terms and in their own good time. But what kind of mental health resources are available to the people of Uvalde right now?
There are an awful lot of mental health resources available right now. Terry, you point out something really important, that people grieve at different times and trauma hits them at different times. So there will be people who need to take part in these resources right now, and then there will be others who probably will need it in months, maybe a year from now. But right now, what's happening immediately, about a mile away from where I am, there's the convention center, and there are mental health officials and experts that converged on that convention center and are taking parents and kids and teachers and members of the community, anybody who needs to speak with someone who maybe is in crisis mentally. They can go there emotionally, they can go there and they can get resources. And hospitals in the area, guys, are actually sending mental health professionals to the convention center as well to help out. Everybody just wants to do what they can in the aftermath of this, and so many here say they wish they could have done something before it. There was also some political theater we have to play for you. You guys know as well as anybody else that there's back and forth over mental health, over gun control laws, over everything after this. There was a press conference that Governor Abbott had about 6 blocks from here at the high school, and Beto O'Rourke actually had to be thrown out of the press conference. This is why.
Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium.
The people of Texas are with us. The majority of the people of Texas are with us, but we've got to stand up to this. or we just accept this theater and business as usual, and we accept the next shooting. We could have stopped this.
It's not something you expect to see at a press conference like that, but emotions are so high. You saw impassioned speeches on the floor at the Capitol last night, and Beto O'Rourke had that outburst. He had to be taken away, but we've just seen what O'Rourke's people say about this, and they say he was meeting with families and happened upon this press conference and didn't actually go there to do this, but in any case, it happened. And this is the debate we're going to hear going back and forth as we move forward, guys.
Yeah, and this is also clearly issues that Beto O'Rourke has been very passionate about for a very long time.
Maybe passion is what's needed. Maybe a little impoliteness is what's needed.
Yeah, and look, he's running for governor, so he is going to be talking a lot about mental health and red flag laws and safe storage laws, issues he's been passionate about for years. Phil, the suspect, as we know, is now dead. Law enforcement took him out in that school when he was barricading himself after he opened fire. What have we learned about him since this press conference? Definitely more details about his social media posts, his background as a student, his truancies, his isolation, even issues regarding animal abuse. A lot of things coming out about this suspect.
Kira, you're right. It's a laundry list, and it's something by now we come to expect in the history and the background of someone who would do something like this. You meant the post. You mentioned the post. Governor Abbott said in the 30 minutes before the shooting, there were 3 posts on social media that they believe were his. The first one was, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother," which police say he did. The second one was, "I shot my grandmother." Again, police say he did that. And then the third was, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school." And police say he clearly did that here. You talk about animal abuse, that has been coming out today. There's some talk about the fact that he would maybe put cats in bags and videotape this and put it on social media, and sometimes he would throw the cats on the ground. It's really hard details to hear, I'm sorry, but this is what they're telling us. Throw the cats on the ground or throw the cat against someone's house. I mean, this kind of behavior, red flags everywhere. My colleague Matt Gutman spoke to some of the students who knew him. One said that he was actually being stalked by this alleged shooter. Some of the other students said that he had this sort of antisocial behavior. One of his friends said I couldn't be his friend anymore. Another girl said that he came in with cuts on his face one day, and I asked him what happened to him, and he simply said, "I thought it looked good, so I did it." I mean, these are a lot of red flags that certainly you would think should have been checked out, and there's more coming out as the day moves on. I think everybody's looking, Kira Terry, for an answer to this. And I don't think any answer is going to be good enough. But in the meantime, while we're looking for it, I want to bring in Brad Garrett, who is an ABC News contributor and former FBI agent. Brad, thanks for joining us. I want to talk to you first about these red flags. There were certainly things that I just described. You heard me talk about what the students talk about here. How do people miss these red flags? Are they going to continue to miss these red flags? What happens?
So part of this is education. You have to remind students, staff, or anybody in the sphere of the troubled person, which also could be in a business setting, about various things that you have mentioned, maybe independently separate from the other one, may be disturbing, but don't upset people. Collectively, when you put them together, very disturbing. But it's really about awareness. I mean, people have all of these stereotypes about weapons and the government seizing weapons and issues with privacy, and I get all of those. But when you do hear things like this kid has said, both at school and I assume to his friends maybe outside school, they need to be told, you've got to tell somebody. And you can do it anonymously. You can go to the police. You can go to the principal. Go to someone of authority and let them figure it out. Because that is the only thing realistically we can do to stop mass shootings. Because the guns are here. The guns are going to stay. But we have to communicate with each other, and we have to do it effectively. And this also includes educating parents. I can't tell you the number of mass shootings that I have studied where the parents bought weapons, encouraged their child to use the weapons. That's all well and good. People do that every day in America. But when you have a troubled person, it's a big, big problem.
Yeah, well, Brad, that reminds me of the Newtown shooting. You know, the Sandy Hook killings, the shooter there, his mother was buying him guns for Christmas, and just similarly to this situation, he shot his mother before he went to the school. Brad, you mentioned guns. This young man, on his 18th birthday, day after his 18th birthday, legal here to buy an AR-15 style rifle in Texas, bought one, a couple days later, bought another, and then like 4 days later came here, and police say, you know, did what he did. I'm curious from a law enforcement perspective, what needs to happen? Because it occurred to me as I'm driving in here, in Buffalo, the shooter there had body armor on. This shooter had body armor on, according to reports. So what does law enforcement do? Because they got to these shooters, one in the parking lot here, one inside the grocery store, and they're wearing body armor. So what can you do? It seemed like you're doing everything right over these last two. A lot of security measures in place here. What are you to do? Well,
so the problem obviously is that, and it also goes to the issue, in my view, in arming teachers, is they're going to be outgunned. I mean, typically these folks are showing up with AR-15s that can shoot multiple rounds in 5 seconds. And high velocity lethal rounds, you cannot fight somebody with a handgun, which I think happened to law enforcement outside the school. When you address things like recent purchases of AR-15s, totally common in mass shootings, also totally common that they buy them legally. He waited, I guess, till he just turned 18 to get both of these weapons. I don't see any mechanism in place where we're going to change that.
Well, some people are talking about raising the age to 21, but you know, we'll see what happens. Everybody goes back and forth with gun laws and mental health after these things happen, and you know, nothing has changed really. Brad Garrett, thanks so much for your expertise. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Terry, Kira.
Phil, we will be talking a lot more in the days to come, and Brad, thanks to you as well.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.